Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Sayed on Air. My name's John and I'm a journalist by profession. And today we're very privileged to have with us Dr. Sayed Ahmed, who is a world leader in the field of foot care and also Australia's very first PhD in the field of Pedorthics. Dr. Sayed's journey has been as one of which is highly inspirational, growing up as a small child in a village in Bangladesh. And these days he's recognised around the world as one of the real leaders in foot care, especially in terms of foot care innovation. So great to have you with us here today. And mate, you must be tired. I believe you just jetted in from Switzerland, and you've also been on this worldwide tour, which has also included Finland. Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, thank you, John. It has been a great experience to visit Finland and Switzerland for the first time. So in the tour, I started with Finland. I went to Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland. Luckily, the weather was really good this time. Normally in October, they get very cold, sometimes minus temperatures, but this time it was more than 10 degrees, which helped me a great deal.
I think you must have brought the great Sydney weather with you.
Correct. And then I went to another city called Lahti to visit some colleagues, and I also met some of my friends from my university. I saw them after many years, more than 15 years. It was really great to catch up. And also with my professional colleagues to catch up with some training and doing some refreshment training on musculoskeletal conditions of patients. So that was refreshing. And then I flew back to Geneva. From Geneva, then I went to the Fribourg, which is the hosting city of IBO Congress for 2024. And in this Congress, there were two other organizations like Swiss Orthopedic Footwear Technology Association and Swiss Orthotics Prosthetics Association. So it was a combination of professional bodies. They hosted the conference. And then in this conference, there were participants and delegates from around the world, from Canada, from USA, from Australia, and a big part obviously being in Europe, where from Europe, countries like Germany, where Pedorthics is big, foot care is a big thing over there, Netherlands, and obviously Switzerland being the host country. There are many of them from there, also Italy, France, and surrounding other Slovenia and few other countries around the Europe. So this conference, it was actually great exhibition of the innovation in foot health, in medical devices like footwear, foot orthotics, and bracing, prosthetics, and others devices. So speakers and researchers or scientists were exhibiting their great work and presenting their newest research and findings in foot health domain, and it was really encouraging to see. And there also another encouraging thing that students from Swiss Orthopedic Shoe Technology Academy, they demonstrated their creative work, and there was a competition among those work also. They really came up with some great ideas, creative designs for certain health conditions. That was really good to see that young professionals are coming up with great ideas. So that was amazing to see. Apart from the conference, obviously, we did a little bit of sightseeing also. We escaped a little bit in between the sessions with my friends and went to see the city of Bern, which is the capital of Switzerland. It was amazing. And the landscape of Switzerland, obviously, we all know it's a beautiful country. Whole country looks like a picture. So, and it was my first time visit. So it was amazing in every step. So I enjoyed, and I enjoyed the food also the people. People are very friendly there, and obviously the organization committee and the host, they were great, and everything was organized so well. And yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I'll remember for a long time.
That's fantastic to hear. So obviously some of those your international colleagues are going to feature on future episodes of Sayed on Air, whether they're going to be via Zoom or if they are visiting Australia.
Yes.
But before, I'd also like to touch on something I mentioned earlier, which was your background as a child.
Yes.
I really think before we go any further, we should talk about the magic P word.
Correct.
Pedorthics. Congratulations on achieving the honour of becoming Australia's first PhD.
Thank you.
Pedorthics just on 12 months ago. Would you like to tell the viewers a bit about Pedorthics? Because, to be quite honest, until I met you, I hadn't heard of it myself, and I'm 66.
Yeah, thank you, John. The Pedorthics obviously mostly unknown to most people in the world. It's a niche profession, but it's a growing profession. It's a must-needed profession. Pedorthist mainly deals with food problems and do the assessment of lower limb issues and they recommend and design a suitable medical device. Like it could be footwear, it could be foot orthotics, bracing to treat certain conditions. But to me, Pedorthics is not about only foot conditions. It is combination of medical, combination of engineering, combination of psychology. Because footwear is a fashion item. It goes with the person. So it needs to meet their social image. It needs to meet their aspiration of their activities and obviously their comfort and ease of use. So Pedorthists normally deal with all aspects. So mainly to alleviate pain, to improve balance and improve mobility of the persons. That's what's the domain of Pedorthics works.
Thanks for that. I'm sure the viewers will find that fascinating. So now would you like to tell us a little bit about your background and your upbringing in Bangladesh and your study both in Bangladesh and how you came to come to Australia with your study and your work here?
Yeah. So I was born in a very small village in Bangladesh. It's a very remote village in southern part of Bangladesh. And it was really, really remote. So I saw electricity when I was in year 3. So it was that remote. So, but it was an amazing place. So the people around there were amazing. And I'm lucky that I had those people around me, my relatives, my parents, my siblings, and the people of my village. They have been amazing. So although I was born in a remote village, but somehow I got the idea that I'm a global citizen. So I never thought that I am isolated there. I always had the inspiration and aspiration to see the world, see what's happening out there. So I was always trying to read books, read magazines, wherever I could have access to. And that helped me to grow the curiosity more. I was in the village until I was in finishing year 10, and then I moved to Dhaka city. And then I finished my year 11, 12, and my Bachelor of in Footwear Engineering over there. Then I got a job with Bata Shoe Company, which is the global leader in footwear manufacturing and retailing. At that time, I saw that we are making a lot of shoes, and some shoes are working well for people. People are buying them a lot. Some are not, and some are not fitting well. And that grew my curiosity. Why is that? Then I found the reason that there is a relation between shoe fitting, we call it shoe last. So possibly people will know about shoe last. So some last can produce shoes that are good fitting. Some last, they look nicer but narrow fitting, which doesn't mess with the people in Bangladesh because it's being a tropical country, people go barefoot. They have generally wider feet. So those sparked my mind, sparked the ideas, okay, what I can do more to help, or how I can contribute more from my footwear engineering background, knowing about the footwear as a product, what it can do for people's health and mobility. So I started exploring around the world, like what is there out there, how I can enrich my knowledge, how I can study further. Then I kept exploring. Then I was reaching out to Germany, USA, and in Australia. So one of my greatest mentor, Mr. Karl-Heinz Schott, he responded my emails. Then I got really engaged by email, and he showed me the pathway, how I can become a pedorthist, how I can learn more about foot health. Then I changed my direction to Australia, whether I was actually, I got a scholarship in USA to study masters in environmental engineering. Right. But I was fortunate that I changed my direction to Australia. I migrated to Australia at that time in 2009. I came here. I was lucky enough to get a job as a shoe designer immediately. I arrived in Australia. Then I started studying Pedorthics under the supervision of Mr. Karl-Heinz Schott at the School of Australian School of Pedorthics. That's how I started my journey to become a pedorthist. And within 1.5 years, I was certified. I got the license to work as a pedorthist. Then the journey started. After another year, I was feeling that I need to learn more. I was looking for opportunities to do PhD in this field. And at the end, I got the opportunity to start my PhD at Southern Cross University, which finished last year.
Sure. And I think, I'm sure that the viewers will agree, but by definition, for somebody to become the first PhD,
Yes.
it means they have going to be taught, obviously, by other experienced mentors and teachers
Correct.
who don't have that degree.
Correct.
So full marks not only to Karl-Heinz Schott, who was your mentor and who you've written about and spoken about so many times over the years,
Yes.
but also your professors at the Southern Cross University as well.
Correct. So I must mention here, my professor was my principal supervisor to start with, Professor Susan Nancaro. I am very, very grateful to her.
Sure.
And Dr. Alex Barwick. And they made this happen. Without their help, it would not happen. So it has been very challenging journey for me, coming from engineering background as a primary education and then coming to Pedorthics and doing PhD in health and domain was a challenge. But they helped me. That's how I ended up finishing the milestone.
And you've also stressed, not just in terms of your own, I know that these days you are a mentor to anybody who wants to approach you, be they a university student or other colleagues working in your field. You want to help everybody, and mentorship is something which is very big, I understand, not just in foot health, but in all fields of medicine.
Correct. So, obviously in medicine or healthcare, mentorship is very big. Obviously, you learn from experience, and if your mentor shows a guideline, you can save a lot of time. You can be ahead of the game. So that's important. And also same thing, even in any other profession, mentorship is a great way to foster learning, to accelerate the learning and get better and be ahead. So I highly stress on everything I do. I always look for mentorship so I can get better at my job. I can get better experience, better lesson in my life, and also I want to share that with people around me who I care about.
That's a message. It's a fantastic message to everybody in any walk of life, really.
Correct.
Medicine, isn't it?
Correct.
Now, this is going to be one of my favourite questions
Sure.
when we're preparing for the show tonight. And I think it's very, very important that the viewers give us their full attention. Misconceptions about foot health. When someone's sick, we go to the doctor.
Correct.
When you've got a sore foot, you don't worry about it. Why is that? And what should people be doing?
It is actually a priority because foot is the distant part of the body, so we care less. And it is not only in the developed countries, it is in the developing countries. It's everywhere. Foot care is a less priority. So if we have problem in our heart or in our eyes or kidney, obviously we prioritize, we get scared, we see the doctor as soon as possible. But foot is very, foot can tolerate a lot of stress, a lot of pain. So we care less. And but we go to the doctors when their case is really severe. So that's common. And a few other misconception is coming for the foot health condition is inappropriate footwear. And that can be in terms of fitting or wrong sizes, wrong weight, wrong type of shoe for wrong type of activities, wrong season, and not wearing shoes indoors. Because a lot of cultures, a lot of religion don't encourage wearing footwear, and even a lot of climate don't encourage wearing footwear indoors, where people stay a lot of time indoors and going barefoot if they have chronic conditions like diabetes, arthritis. If they don't have fat pad under their foot where the bony prominences are, they can create a big problems. So those sort of foot care or footwear education is lacking across the globe. So that is actually a root cause of a lot of foot problems. So the awareness is not there, and a lot of people, they just don't care about it. So where we see the problem happens. When people come to our clinics, we see a lot of the problems could be prevented if there were awareness or the footwear was right or the foot care education was there.
Sure. You spoke about diabetics, and you're known as a world leader in that field in terms of diabetic footwear. And they say it's an aging society, but also the number of people getting diabetes just increasing all around the world, isn't it? Be it
Correct.
Developed or developing countries.
Correct. Yeah. Diabetic problem, foot problem is a big problem. So even if I can give you a quick statistics about Australia, more than 2% of the total hospitalization is because of diabetic foot problems.
Wow.
So, and the cost is few billions every year. Just for a country which has only a small population.
Sure.
So if you look at bigger population countries like China, India, so Saudi Arabia, they have a bigger problem, a bigger population.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a big issue.
It's not. I'm not even being dramatic in saying. You mentioned earlier about don't put it off. But it can mean the difference between being able to walk and maybe even having a limb amputated.
Correct.
A foot amputated or a leg.
Yes. So it happens. It's a lot of amputations, partial amputations, complete limb loss happens because of diabetes-related foot conditions.
Sure, and we'll be touching on these matters in the future, aren't we? In terms of what people need to do, things that can go wrong, what they need to do, people they need to see, what they need to wear, and obviously, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to be interviewing guests from overseas who are well known in this field, and also in terms of future podcasts, which by the way you'll be anchoring yourself.
Correct. We'll be going more details into the specific food conditions also to create awareness so people can understand in simpler language. And I will be inviting experts in this domain from Australia, and a lot of international guests will be in those future episodes also. That's to fantastic. Tell about it.
No doubt you'll be having your mentor, Carline Shop, will be
certainly.
Not too distant future, hopefully.
Certainly, that's the dream.
Yeah. So Sayed, I think that's a wrap. I think you've done fantastic for your first podcast. You've certainly outshone me. And I wish you well in the future of this program. You've got some fascinating topics coming up, some fascinating guests. So all I can do is urge the listeners to just keep watching their socials. Remember the name of the show, Sayed on Air. Hopefully you're going to find it as enjoyable or even more than tonight's program. And we thank you all for your time this evening.